I'm Kelly.
And I'm Steve.
And this is Coupled with Chaos.
90-Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 6, Episode 14, Dirty Dancing. We never take care of business before we start the podcast, but we are. We have on Apple channel and on Patreon, we have a free trial for a subscription. You know what you get for a free trial?
7 days.
$3.99 a month is what you would normally pay. This would be like if you bought the Monroe Evening Snooze for 99 cents.
Except we're not snooze.
Oh, we're not snooze.
No.
You get so much. Here's what I want to say.
We're not snooze. We're news.
Right. We would like you. Look, just try it. I mean, it's easy. It's an easy try it and cancel. I think for anything, it's our inside scoops.
Or try it and don't cancel.
Well, you could do that too. That comes from our financial department. I'm going to say our inside scoops, I think, when I go in other groups, I find that our inside scoops are so much, we're like a month ahead of everybody else when this stuff happens. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to say $3.99 Apple, just hit free trial on Patreon. Come on over. You can try it. I'm going to leave it open for 3 or 4 days and then close it. Let the holiday happen. There's a lot of content. Just so you know, we are at, I've lost count, 800 and some total episodes. It's 860 of total, like all of our stuff.
Wow, that's a lot.
We have, you know, what we don't even talk about is, and I know there aren't a ton of Real Housewives fans.
I knew I was getting tired of you for a reason.
Yeah, I know. That's what happens. So we have a whole, like, different group of Real Housewives stuff that we run a la carte. So if you are also a Real Housewife fan, if you're not, then that's fine. We don't mix the two other than in general conversation. But a la carte on our Patreon is a whole gambit of Real Housewives stuff.
It is part of our subscription.
It is that. So it's there. Inside Scoop is there and personal podcast. We don't get into a lot of personal business on our stuff unless it comes out. What you'll get next week is probably me having a meltdown or a nervous breakdown inside of Sam's Club. This is what you're going to get next week.
And our reality roundup covers so many shows.
Yeah, we may break that up. We may look because like our reality roundup, there's so many shows on now. I may decide this week to do a separate like Sister Wives and a separate Plathville just because
they have a lot of content.
Well, we're not a big fan of making a 2-hour long show. I'd rather give you 20 minutes of something a la carte than make you sit through an hour and 30 minutes.
If it's a show you don't watch.
Yeah, so we get that. And so Love During Lockup has been such a disappointment.
Snooze fest.
Such a disappointment this season that it's taken up a lot of space that we're not happy about. So that being said, let's pretend we're going to start over again. 90-Day Fiancé Before the 90 Days, Season 6, Episode 14, Dirty Dancing. We have a proposal. How about that? I heard you in tears.
Yes.
I heard you crying.
Yes.
We don't get this very
so
often,
sweet.
do we?
No.
And we'd like to think that we're about at least the real part of these relationships.
Right.
But you felt something here?
So happy for both of them.
Despite his sweaty shirt?
Yeah, poor guy. He can't help it.
Yeah, I know. Boy, that was something.
Boy, it looks like somebody dumped a bucket of water over his head.
It did like he did the water bucket challenge in the middle of his proposal.
Yeah. She thought so too. She said, "Are you okay? You're sweating a lot."
Yeah, I guess when you're nervous, right? That happens.
On top of it being sweltering hot, and he's not used to it.
But it was
definitely not from Texas.
A real proposal. I think he's Nebraska is what he's from.
Right.
So are you? We didn't have this type of proposal thing. Is this something that bothers you about our relationship?
No.
No, not at all?
Not at all.
This didn't happen.
No. We didn't have a proposal.
No, we did not.
We faked a proposal.
Yes, but
when
it didn't
we
count.
picked up the rings.
But it wasn't even then, wasn't it? On the couch?
Yeah, it was on the couch.
We were probably on the couch watching Law and Order. I would assume is where it was. I remember where we were.
You had just come home that day, and it was the day my rings were coming in, and we stopped by the mall because I sent them off to get sized. we stopped and picked them up because they came in that day, and it was the day you came back from Germany, roundabout.
I was in the Army.
And you said, okay, we'll pick them up together. So we picked them up. We came home.
At Zales
we sit on the
in
couch,
the mall.
And then we faked a proposal, and I go, yes. And because I'd already bought the ring.
Shouldn't we actually propose? Isn't that it?
I think that's what the conversation we had, yeah.
You didn't strong arm me, did you?
I probably did.
I'd like to go back and relive this situation and think that maybe I had been muscled into this scenario.
Well, we never actually asked either one of us, the other one, do you want to get married? It just became assumed. It was just something we just worked into the letters and the conversations. Just we probably should discuss the M word. I remember saying that
you found a deal on the rings.
I did, of course.
So I think this should
story of our lives.
Yes, this is it for 29 years.
It was a prequel of things to come.
10 months. I got a deal on whatever. and
I want my $5.
Yada, yada, yada. We're married.
Yeah.
This is what happens.
Yeah, that's
what happened. Felt real. I don't know. It felt genuine, right?
It really did. Both of them. She lit up after feeling so sad that he was going to be leaving. I think it was such a letdown to have such a beautiful day and to be in such a special place and have a fancy dinner she'd never had before. Just the whole experience of, wow, this is really special. Mm. And now this time is drawing to a close. And it's like the adrenaline, dropping. It was like the wind was being sucked out of her sails, and she was genuinely sad.
I think you felt it then,
morose,
didn't you?
It was an intense.
Those are big
sadness.
Words.
Yeah.
This is not that kind of podcast. I don't know what that means, but I think you felt it then. I think we felt that. It's hard to describe to people our time together before the week we spent together. And then left. And
right. I think the look on her face was how I felt when I got home from the airport. Mm. Completely deflated.
Because I don't think we were counting the days at that point. And I think more or less now for us, you would feel it like, I don't know. I would feel it when we were up at the cabin on the Shenandoah River, right? You'd count how many days you had left. Well, I still have, 5 more nights here.
Yes.
4 more nights. And you start to get the feeling of
it's almost over.
It's almost over.
Yeah.
And I think you kind of lose the joy in the minute.
The experience, right?
Because you're looking at how much time you have left.
Yeah.
And I can't
what you're
believe
about to lose.
It's half over.
Yeah.
And I know it's a negative way of looking at things, but there are people who are like that.
Yeah.
I just see that this is ending, and sometimes I'm jealous of people who can live in the minute.
Right. I kind of felt that way at the end of the summer. I had such a beautiful summer with the boys, and knowing when it was coming to an end, it was a little bittersweet because I knew this was probably the last time we'd ever spend that kind of time together. And it was such a happy time. I smile when I think about it even now, but I felt sad too.
You don't want it to be over.
Right.
You could just go another month. That would be fine.
Yeah.
So you get where they're coming from.
Yes,
and I loved the day that they spent. The time they were on the boat. You saw the laughing.
Yep.
The whatever. They
were comfortable
in the communication.
Yeah.
And somehow or another, even in her, I guess
struggle to sign.
Yes, and like Susan said in the group, she's signing spelling in English.
Yeah, that's tough.
It's no small task. Mm-hmm. It's I before E except after C. You can't get that right.
Yeah,
maybe he forgives that.
Yeah,
you don't know all the stuff. All the English secrets.
The nuances, yeah.
Right. So.
How half the language comes from other languages and is an exception to the rules.
This doesn't make any sense. And it's the thing, like, you could get into that point. I remember in Germany when I was making attempts to speak German, and I knew it was broken German, and people would speak to me in broken English. And how frustrated I would feel when they would spend time correcting my German. And I wouldn't spend the time correcting their English. It's not like I'm better or anything, but I don't get caught up in if you put a verb before a noun or after a noun, or if they would get me for
as long as you can understand.
That's
matter.
the point.
Right.
It's being able to understand somebody and to be able to communicate, and that they're at this point they're communicating and laughing.
Right.
You could get that, the jokes they were having about getting eaten by a shark.
Right. I said, I was just so happy to see such genuine joy on Sheila's face after having such a sad time in her life. She was suffering a real loss. And to have her be visibly so joyous was nice.
Wouldn't there be guilt? At some point, wouldn't that come into play?
Sure.
Even at our point.
That life goes on and then you feel bad.
You've lost your parents,
yes.
and I've lost my father, not my mother. And wouldn't you be at a point, sometimes don't you feel like guilty?
Sometimes, yeah.
And so I think that period's going to come for her where she goes, like, you know what? I shouldn't be happy. But of course she should be, and she can be.
Right.
But it's those cycles that you go through, and you just think about a situation where, I would have called my mother about this, or I would have asked my dad about this, or
I would have liked to have shared this.
Like it's a simple thing. Like for me, in all of my lifetime, I'm a Detroit Lions fan. So is my father. And it was always be, the Tigers won in our lifetime collectively. The Red Wings won in our collective lifetime. Same with the Pistons. So it would be like the Lions. You know what? The Lions are on an upswing. You go, you know what? Maybe in my dad's lifetime, we could have experienced that together. It's not like a thing, right? It's not significant in any way. But it would be, I would feel like
a wash of sadness.
Yes, because it would have been something that we shared together and we couldn't.
Right.
And or something we'd be able to talk about.
And I suspect that she'll feel that way about this engagement probably the next day. When the immediate excitement wears off and she wakes up in the morning, she'll go, man, I wish my mom could have seen me this happy.
And there'll be some sadness there.
Exactly.
And guilt and all of that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough for them. But they go snorkeling. You would not snorkel. It's not a thing. It's not something
you
you
will
said.
never find me underwater anywhere, even in our own pool, unless I'm drowning.
So if that's the case, if I see you with your head underwater,
I am dying.
I should dive in and pull you out.
You should, yes.
So we're not snorkeling together.
No.
This is not a thing.
I cannot swim.
We could do this in Lake Erie. You know why you can't snorkel in Lake Erie?
Because it's nasty?
Because you can't see.
Yeah.
So, and then if you actually...
And it's toxic.
Well, not anymore. I think we're better now.
I don't know about that.
But
they might be saying that.
If you could see, you would just pull out a body, is what you would do. Let's just yank a body. Look at all the bodies in here. That is how we would handle, at least my part of Lake Erie. So you can't see anything. It is the nastiest thing at the bottom. It is probably, if you step on the bottom of our part of Lake Erie, you probably go ankle deep in muck.
Yuck.
And bones and rock. So not only as your foot is sinking in the muck, it's being gnarled up by rock and bone. Yeah. That's what happens there. So you don't go in the water there. At least every time we did, that's what I experienced. So we don't do that. But we're happy. We have obviously a proposal. Communication is going better.
Do you think that she will back out because of her kid?
I don't know. It's hard to tell, these false flags that we get. I mean, our position all along is it's not his choice.
It shouldn't be up to the kid.
It's not his decision.
He's young enough that he's just got to go with the flow.
He's 12, and I mean, it sounds bad, right?
And it's up to her to make it a positive experience for him.
Yeah.
To talk it up and encourage him to look at it in a positive way.
It sounds bad to say he doesn't have a say in it.
Well, it's true when you're a little kid. I mean, you're just along for the ride.
You'd like them to be on board, and I think parents probably do that.
Right.
We saw it in Love After Lockup, right? It was, it's not a great thing to talk about now with Renika because of that situation and what apparently has happened.
Yeah.
But to say, are you on board? And for your kid, what happens when your kid says no? I'm not on board. Right. You go, well, too bad. maybe at this point you don't ask.
Mm-hmm.
And it does. It sounds bad, but nobody ever asked me. You know?
Are you all right with us getting divorced?
You're all right with the divorce and the not in the remarriage, and then the boyfriend, and then the other one.
Tomato soup every weekend.
Yeah, and that. Are you all right? Well, that was different. So, but yes, I understand. But you don't ask, and I don't know. It's that everything doesn't have to go your way, and so at some point, you have to trust that your parents know what's best for you.
Right.
It's not always the case, but I don't know what you do. So they got a lot of work in front of them. You know, Sheila and David do.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy. Financially, it's not going to be easy. And they're going to have some laundry problems, right? Because his shirts are probably
nasty.
are stained.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I wonder if she'll have to have special stuff to clean his sweat stains.
All salty. Maybe it's like Misha. She tasted the salt in the Dead Sea.
That's gross, off the ground. Gross.
That's where people's feet are.
Ew.
I don't know. I mean, didn't they use salt to preserve meat?
Yeah, but it's purified.
Not like this.
You know, just like
I don't
scrape
think
it off
so.
the beach and put it in a shaker for you.
Yeah, but if you preserve meat, where do they get their salt from?
It's been cleaned.
I'm talking about now. I'm talking about back in the day.
Oh, well, sure. They did a lot of things. They probably licked a hairy goat's butt, too, but we don't do that now.
I think we had a podcast.
Even though it seems like it when you eat goat cheese.
This is weird. But we had a personal podcast, and it was titled Licking a Hairy Goat's Butt.
Yeah,
so
because
how does this come up again?
Because it makes me think of goat cheese and how it seems like you're licking a hairy butt.
That's what it was about. It was about goat cheese.
Nasty.
I forgot.
Foul.
It's a whole personal podcast. If you like goat cheese, you probably are not going to be a fan of our personal podcast.
Yeah.
So that's it. Or chickpeas or sweet potatoes. That's it. So if you're a fan of those things, our podcast might not be for you.
Well,
I mean, that's the case.
That's just you that doesn't like those things.
I'm just saying, well, you know, you don't ask. Do you ask me?
What?
About what we eat, then. You?
Well, I don't give you things that you despise.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm talking about, right? So Misha and Nicola, we talked about our inside scoop, and so we are going to, it's what we do. Our inside scoop is rumor, innuendo, and half truths. We talk about things that we probably don't talk about during the show. So we kind of suspend whatever we know in inside scoop while we talk about the show. We'd hate just to spoil something positive or negative for you.
Even when we predict, if we think people will be together, we try to erase our memories of what we know to be happening in real time.
In real time. So there's a lot of stuff in real time, and that's what you get in our Inside Scoop. So if you don't like spoilers, same thing. Inside Scoop is probably not for you. Mm-hmm.
But if you just can't wait to know what's happening with these couples, then Inside Scoop is the place to be.
Right. And we do that. We have it every week.
Yeah.
So we run with 6 or 7 stories.
And because we have absolutely nothing else to do with our time, we dig kind of deep sometimes.
We pay our research department nothing.
Nothing.
But they appear to be dedicated to the craft.
Yes.
And they scour every corner of the internet and find stuff. Mm-hmm. I've even gotten in trouble in other groups for not sharing my scoop. I'm like, well, you know, that was a month ago. And
subscribe.
We covered it. Yeah, I'm not trying to give you my stuff. And, you know, I don't generally broadcast that we have our own show in other groups because people don't like you promoting their show, your show
on their site,
group, right? Yeah, it's their stuff. So I just kind of blend in, and what they say is, "Hey, this happened," and I go, "Yes, they were spotted
months ago,
whoever it is." I'm not saying Misha and Nicola were spotted months ago. That's not what I'm saying. So if that were the case, I would say yes. I would confirm something that is confirmed that happened a month ago. So. My take on Misha is this, and I have, despite all of our inside scoop and all the stuff, this is my take on her. I have no evidence. I have no facts. This is just me 100% speculating. Yes. I think she is making an attempt to be some kind of conservative, like, news person. Mm-hmm. So she was in the news world. She's this ultra Catholic.
Like she's trying to be a Fox News person.
Yeah,
or something?
it's like she's gonna try to be, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is how she's trying to do that.
To create an image for herself.
Do you think she's a religious zealot in any way?
No,
or
I do not.
A super religious person?
I do not. I think it's all.
Why else? You know, and you saw this stuff when Nicola said, when I say I love you. They played these clips. We don't normally get the clips back. This is a Real Housewife thing. Real Housewives.
Yeah, that was something else.
Roll the beautiful bean footage or whatever they do. This is what they do there. They don't do it on 90 Day.
No.
They did it.
Yeah, which means you're caught, Misha.
You got busted. I don't know that I've seen them go back.
Yeah, I went, wow.
They never do it.
Yeah.
At least maybe they do and I don't remember. So somebody enlighten us if they actually...
No, I don't think they do.
No, they came back with multiple clips of her.
I think that's why my reaction was, wow.
Yeah, it's something. That is... It's called...
She was caught.
It's called receipts. You brought receipts.
Yep.
This is the binder. You brought a binder full of video clips. So I think she's fake. And it's just my gut feeling. I don't have anything, But Misha subjected herself to maybe one of the coldest massages I've ever seen. I don't know. How would you... I would maybe almost describe...
I love how she described it as being, what did she say? Putting spackle on a wall?
Yeah, it would be like Christian. It would be like Christian putting butter on a chicken breast. It was very similar.
But she shouldn't chastise him for that and tell him he needs to be more sexy about it because she's enticing him to have sinful thoughts.
Well, yeah, I don't think she's real. And
that's what I'm saying. She shouldn't be doing that if they're trying to be following their rules, right?
I get it. You're right.
And he is definitely more devout than she is.
But
I think he's legit. And so she should know that would not make him comfortable. And she shouldn't be telling him to do that or criticizing him for not doing that. It doesn't mean he will be that way when they're married.
Yeah, but that's because...
But this is now.
We know that in the 5th grade, he learned everything about how a woman operates.
Right.
And what he didn't learn there, he actually has a friend who let him know how a woman operates.
That's funny.
I don't know. It'd be like, what is a Chilton manual that we have for like the Sentra? We have, what's the Sentra that we have?
96.
We have a 96 Nissan Sentra. We have the old, I guess currently you can't work
5-speed.
You can't work on cars. So this is a Chilton manual of how to actually replace stuff. So it's step by step. For those of you who don't know or don't work on cars, it's an actual book with pictures. It's what we had before Google.
Before the internet.
Before Google.
Right.
Or YouTube.
You always bought a Chilton manual for every one of your vehicles.
Right. So we still have this book is in my closet.
That's funny.
If I need to replace the master cylinder, there's a book for exactly what to do. What they don't tell you how to do is how tightly to torque something.
Yeah.
There's not a torque rating on that. You may end up torquing something.
You break something.
And breaking it.
Crack a alternator. Whoops.
That wasn't the alternator. It was the master cylinder is what that was. So we had to get somebody to come out and do it because I already broke one.
Yeah.
Is this tight enough? No, I don't think so. And then so you break it. That's what happens.
That wasn't good.
But Nicola has the Chilton manual on women. I know. Knowledge is power, and he has the power. So this is great. It's just I felt uncomfortable. Everybody. Would you ever get like mud rubbed on you?
No.
Yeah, I don't feel comfortable with that at all.
No.
It
seems icky.
It does seem icky. So I'm just not sure that we're all up for that.
Yeah.
So even mud from the Dead Sea?
No. Especially. Probably. I definitely don't want salty anything on my skin because I will shrink up like nobody's business and turn into a prune. I slather myself with shea butter body cream.
This is
I'm
what they've
definitely
made.
not putting salt on.
Bath and Body Works has done a better job than Dead Sea Mud.
Yes.
I have a feeling.
They have softened my skin tenfold.
We've read decent parts of the Bible. Never have I read to put Dead Sea Mud on your skin.
No.
Nobody ever said this is a great thing.
No.
Right. Maybe draping somebody with purple cloth is a thing, right? Purple dye is a thing. Dead Sea Mud, I missed this.
Yeah.
It's not in
I don't
Ezekiel
recall that.
anywhere. Nowhere in Deuteronomy.
I don't think this was a service being sold at the temple gates either.
No, this is not that. So, I don't know about them, right? I mean, her face when he was talking about her attitudes toward him, it looked of disgust, did it not?
It kind of did, but then she said, different from what her face was saying. It looked like she was going to say, ew, why would I say I love you? But that's not what she said. She said that she was sorry if she didn't do a good enough job of saying it because she does and she meant it.
To me, her face, I said, we kind of stopped it and said, really, take a good look at her face. Maybe 3 times during this episode, we rewound it and played it again. Yeah. This was one of them. I'm going to say it looked like when she looked at him, like worms were crawling out of his nose.
Yeah.
She looked at him. Her nose was flared.
Uh-huh.
It was like, oh.
Repulsive.
Yeah. It would be like, I get it.
Like, ooh, you just threw up.
He's right. There is throw up
on your face.
On your chin. It's stuck in your beard stubble. Right? Or it's been 3 hours and I think I see some cream cheese on your lip. Right?
Gross.
This was you with me today. What is that on your lip? Or in your chin? Oh, I think it might be cream cheese from breakfast.
Dried.
So after 29 years and 10 months, that's fine. I think you were comfortable with that.
Yeah, you just reach up and help wipe it off.
Yeah, we're all past that, right? Yeah. So this is because you know everything there is to know about how men's operate. So that's it. You have the book on me.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. It took 29 years, but we're fine.
Yeah.
Like it took me 25 years to figure out, evidently, what Nicola knows I should spend time in his 5th grade class, right? That would be important for us.
I would highly recommend, after they get married, that she immediately have some shoulder surgery, and I think they'll figure it out.
That's what it turns out, is when one of us is incapacitated and the other has to help. Yes. Amazing what that does for people.
For intimacy.
Yes, sadly.
Kind of
I think it took advantage of you. It seems kind of bad.
It kind of does.
What? I don't like your tone.
I mean, when you put it like that, it sounds a little sleazy. But...
Right. You couldn't move. So I had you cornered. You couldn't escape. That doesn't sound good.
It doesn't sound
at
good
all. It's like the chicken breast that they had. There was a chicken breast. Maybe it was a turkey breast that they had, Christian and Cleo.
It was a turkey breast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it looked like he was slathering garlic butter on the skin. How effective would that be if you put it on the skin?
Well, I mean, I only season it on the outside, but I don't eat the skin. That's really for other people. I mean, I spray the outside with oil and then use that to stick so that it browns and use that to stick like a rub on the outside. I don't slide stuff.
This is not a cooking podcast.
I don't slide.
I probably should not have gone down this road.
I don't slide stuff under the skin. So, I can't fault him for that.
Okay. I guess that's good. It looked like a good garlic butter.
It did.
Till it was on his hands, and all I could think about is,
I'm
not convinced.
His hands have been.
I'm not convinced.
Whether or not he washed them.
He's a hand washer.
Yeah.
He's not a hair cutter.
He's not.
You said his hair bothers you.
It bothers me.
To go down a road we don't normally travel.
Every time that they show him from the side, I feel my upper lip go, ew.
Like he's got worms coming out of his nose.
Yes, exactly. Because I think he leaves his hair so long and bushy in the back that it looks like a bubble on his head. And it's such a sharp contrast with his lack of a hairline in the front. And so it just looks awkward and goofy.
Yeah.
I think he should have it, tapered down the back to match his lack of hair in the front. You know what I mean?
Well, it's either accepting it or not. So there's no point in growing hair down the back of your head to your neck if you're lacking hair on top. Right. There's no reason.
Exactly. It just looks bushy and unkempt.
That you can't keep up with that.
It looks sloppy.
I mean, I don't think we even talk about this. I still, at this point, cut my own hair. What would you say? What's the haircut cost?
Oh, probably.
I know we're talking cheap haircut. $20.
Cheap haircut with a coupon is like $8. But normally it would be like $15.
And I've cut my own hair for, other than maybe a couple year period, I probably cut my hair for 25 years.
And that's still cheap. That's like great clips.
I buy good stuff. I buy good razors. But you could clean your own neck up. There's nothing against looking. You get a feel for it, and you can do it yourself. Mm-hmm. I've tried to get other people, like in the house, to do it for me, but no one else will. So I do it myself.
Yeah, nobody wants to be responsible for ruining it.
It all grows back. You're a dude, right? But there's nothing, again, cleaning that up, right?
Yeah, and I think he looks just messy and sloppy.
Are we just against him and his hair because of his other stuff?
It's annoying. He's annoying also, but aside from that, the hair bothers me.
All right. I guess that's it. I love Jane saying, "Did you meet any guys at the bar?" It's a real statement.
Go, Jane.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
He says, he brushes it off that women are half the people on the planet. And that's just such a crappy thing.
Yeah.
But But
it's not half the people he talks to.
It isn't. There's never
been. So that was a pointless statement.
There was never a scenario where the guys on the plane were having an issue with him buying them drinks.
No.
That didn't happen. Didn't happen to invite a guy over to Thanksgiving.
Didn't happen to talk to a table full of guys at dinner while you ignore your date either.
I mean, that's not a coincidence.
No.
That's just who he is. And I think that he brushes that aside is a bit of...
And he says it's who he is, but tries to excuse it seemingly always being women.
It's not like I only seek out women to talk to. This is what he said. It's not like that.
Except for one.
Look, you're in England. It's Thanksgiving. Here's what happens right now, right? This is a year ago. So right now, we're in, I think we're in week 2, game 3 or week 3 of the Premier League. So there isn't a pub you can't go to on Wednesday, at this point, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, that you're not going to run into a bunch of dudes.
Yeah, especially in England.
Tuesday, Thursday. Those are the only days there aren't going to be soccer going on. You're going to find dudes everywhere in any pub. So he manages in this period, and we're even talking, I'm just talking week 3 right now. We're talking Thanksgiving, right? So you're in week, 9? It's 2 months from now. It's full on in English term. It's full on.
Yeah.
He's only finding the women. So
he's going too early for the soccer game, apparently.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe he's going to non-soccer bars, picking up the lonely women. So, I mean, what would you think if you're at a bar alone as a woman?
I agree with Cleo. Jane, if you talk to me and I'm by myself and you're by yourself, I'm going to assume you're hitting on me, especially the way he strikes up conversation out of the blue.
Yeah, I haven't had a drink in a week. 3 or 4 days. I haven't had a drink. Well, he's slurring.
Right.
Completely. Christian doesn't think about it in those terms. It's like you're crazy for thinking about it that way.
Yeah, total gaslighting.
I don't think about it that way. It looked like they'd settled on on the corn on the cob? They didn't find canned corn. It looked like he was taking the corn off the cob. Mm. That's a skill.
Interesting. Yeah.
It's not something.
Well, it's easy.
I don't like your tone.
What do you mean?
Easy.
I have to do it for our oldest son because he doesn't like corn on the cob. He doesn't like to eat it off the cob.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, because he eats with his hands most of the time, so it seems odd. But he doesn't like to eat it off the cob.
I'm not even going there. That's personal podcast fodder. Yeah.
So for him, I always take a knife and cut it off the cob.
I believe our oldest son would eat spaghetti with his hands if he could. I feel my stomach uneasy, like my throat's closing, just thinking about eating near him.
Oh, gosh.
That's just how it is. He said this is the most... Look, here's what's crazy. It tells you that Christian comes from a sheltered family. He said this was the most uncomfortable Thanksgiving he's had ever. Uh-huh. Where would this rank on your Thanksgivings?
So tame. I mean, Thanksgiving was my mother's favorite holiday, and I have this brother. I have a big family. You know, I'm youngest of 6. But my one brother in particular would use Thanksgiving as an opportunity to start a fight with somebody different every year. And it was whoever was in line in front of him with a plate. Mm. He'd start picking and starting an argument. Mm. There was some conflict every Thanksgiving. And my mom was already on edge because this was back in the day when they didn't have seedless grapes. And she made fruit salad, and she'd be up literally overnight, cooking all night, hand slicing grapes in half and scraping with a spoon all the seeds out.
This is where you wish your mom was alive.
Yes.
So I wish you could experience the joy
of making her Thanksgiving dinner, which I make every year. Exactly what she made.
You mean there's no seeds in this?
Right. And how we used to have to take turns all morning long. Everybody would take a shift of like 30 minutes, and their hands would be just cramped up from hand cranking, mixing the heavy whipping cream with this plastic thing with a crank on it.
So this is not that uncomfortable of a Thanksgiving. I remember the Thanksgiving, pretty much every Thanksgiving was my grandmother, because she always came over, right? Uh-huh. So it was always filled with her bringing a about 3 or 4 glass bottles is what you had at that point. We didn't have 2 liters. Glass bottles of 7-Up and a mysterious bottle that my step-grandfather brought and kept in the car.
Oh, boy.
So he would get ice, pour 7-Up in it, and then disappear to the car and then come back in with the glass full. Oh, he did this about 7 or 8 times during every Thanksgiving.
Wow.
Then that was the norm. Fun. You could only imagine what happened and
I'm sure that was fun.
What was actually in the car that didn't come in the house.
Oh, wow.
This was nothing.
For my mom, it was the tragedy that would set her off was if there were any lumps found in her gravy or her mashed potatoes.
We're a lumpy mashed potato family.
It was the end of the freaking world, especially the gravy.
Here's the best Thanksgiving ever. You want uncomfortable? There was a Thanksgiving where no one spoke.
Oh, wow.
My grandmother came over, and there was no talking for about 3 hours.
Wow.
Right? How about that?
That's something.
Nobody spoke.
Uncomfortable.
You want uncomfortable? And we didn't even know what was uncomfortable.
Wow.
But you knew. Like, I'm not talking. There's just a weird buzz. You ever feel like a weird buzz in a room? Like when our daughter was getting ready to have an event? Mm-hmm. It was this.
Yeah.
And it would happen.
Oh, boy, it's about to go down.
Thanksgiving. Ugh. You go, well, it's been a long time since I heard a noise. Uh-huh. And it would be my mom and my grandma. They were still in the same kitchen. Operating.
Wow.
And dinner happened and no one spoke.
That is bizarre.
That's great. And my dad, here's why I cut my own hair probably, is because my step-grandfather, and I never referred to him as step-grandfather, I didn't know my grandparents when they were together. It was always apart, right? So I didn't know them together. He was a barber. And so we had years where we didn't get our hair cut. Could you imagine my hair years.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, the school pictures are not a pleasant thing.
Glad I haven't seen those.
Well, they're just this big. It happens. It gets big. So, uncomfortable Thanksgiving? Please. This is nothing. Nothing. And I'm sure all of you, right? We've all been there. Thanksgiving, we used to, in Virginia Beach, we used to have the police scanner on.
Yes. That was so fun.
There were no more exciting days in Virginia Beach than having the police scanner on. Holiday weekends.
Yeah, it was great. Such entertainment.
Yeah, it was. All the domestic stuff happening. So
tons.
That is super. So uncomfortable. This is nothing. And you would think with this scenario, you think it would be uncomfortable? Got nothing.
Yeah.
Try not speaking for 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's super. That's uncomfortable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We saw the preview of Amanda and Razvan, and I don't know.
Shake my head.
Where
she has got to stop jerking this guy around. I said, I feel like I have whiplash from watching her whip him one way and then the other over and over again. It is ridiculous, the games that she's playing with this guy.
So evidently,
and he's a good guy.
The preview has them doing it 4 times
in one night.
And she's all over him.
Yep.
Like breathing.
Touching him. She's kissing on him.
Her face is on Rosin's face like Angela's was on Liz.
Yes, definitely.
I saw a neat meme about, like, you probably, because you don't watch stuff that, like, you don't know, like Aliens. You remember the movie Aliens?
Uh-huh.
When it's there breathing on Sigourney Weaver's face?
Uh-huh.
This is like Angela on Liz. Well, this was Amanda on Razvan. After she said they're not compatible.
Uh-huh.
And then she's in the house, like, questioning all these things of why things aren't like
his
that.
Past relationship and his marriage and all that. What a mess.
And this mom's a keeper. She's making homemade noodles.
Oh, yes.
I have to tell you.
Winner.
Yeah, when I was in Germany, I had an Italian girlfriend, and her mom made homemade noodles. They had a family noodle. That may have been enough to keep me. I'm not joking.
You would be probably quite large now if you ended up in that
was
family.
Really, I have to tell you that, they would be in the kitchen and just making noodles. It was like the family noodle, the family pasta. It was they did this, we stamped this, we pinched it here, and this was it. And, you combine that with their homemade sauce, and obviously it was incredible. Mm-hmm. So as much as that woman did not like me because she didn't like men, I'm a pretty likable guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't.
My parents liked you.
And look,
they liked you before I did.
I'm a pretty innocent guy. I mean, we understand. I wasn't like taking advantage of their daughter in any way, or her daughter. So I'm a good dude, in that respect, right?
Yes. So
that being said, she still fed me every time I went over there. There was always food. And that was really nice. And that was really good. A lot.
So how much do you miss this phase of your life?
I do miss that sauce and that pasta tremendously. I believe I could make it.
Wow.
I think I still could.
I'd like to point out you've never asked me to make either thing.
Yeah, but you can't, right? It's not like we got having a Burgess pasta noodle. It doesn't quite ring a bell, right?
No, but I mean, I don't think there's anything that I can't make.
I would agree. I don't know how they made it. I could probably come close.
I've made pasta from scratch in a cooking class before, an Italian class.
I get it.
So I know how it's done.
I'm not criticizing you in any way.
I don't have the equipment to do it.
This is it, right? This is what we were talking about in our personal podcast. We're trying out new equipment. So maybe we're all trying out new equipment. We got new microphones, or different microphones anyway, and you're trying new pasta, and I don't know. We're all trying out new equipment. But we're not that kind of dirty podcast, so that's not how it works. But she made homemade noodles in, this looks to be an Airbnb. This wasn't their house. There wasn't anything personal.
That's what you were saying. I was listening, not watching, so
yeah, it was. You can tell. You look around and go, is there a personal photograph anywhere? And when you go, no, there isn't, then. I mean, it's not...
Don't you think it's probably a matter, because we've seen this before, don't you think it's probably a matter of people not wanting to give out too much personal identity?
Well, it's just like Ben and whatever.
Mahogany.
Mahogany.
Okay.
Please, Kelly.
Okay.
If you're going to use the term, you should at least say it right.
Oh, sorry.
Mahogany.
I'm speaking English.
Mahogany.
Okay.
So, or that place she tried to sell us her own.
Yeah.
Like the surfboard on the wall.
Yeah. And the games, the kids' games on the shelf.
Right. I mean, it's typical. It's what you get. So we get it.
That was funny.
So we can get past that.
It looks like the cabin we used to rent.
Right. It's got 1980s games.
Puzzles and VHS tapes in the cabinet.
There's a VCR
some
in the
missing
living
pieces.
room. Right. That's how it works. So I'm good with that. I understand it's not their place, so I'm fine with that. But she produced homemade noodles in all of this.
It makes you feel like you're rummaging through the attic at Grandma's house.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was.
You never know what you'll find.
You're moving out of Virginia and you found stuff in the attic. It's an old Chinese checkers board. That's what you're getting. It's a what is it? An operation game with acid covered batteries.
Oh, right? Yes.
That's how it is. It's all melted. But I just couldn't get past her attitude during this whole thing.
Yeah,
she's crying,
just clingy and touchy feely, like she hasn't been on this whole trip.
Mm-hmm. She's all over him, swinging around on the bus bar like it's a stripper pole. She's sucking on his face.
Yeah. I was surprised she didn't lick him or something.
Yeah.
It was almost to that degree. It was so obvious.
And I feel so...
She's just trying to get a reaction out of him.
And she's just jerking him around.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't expect them to be together.
No.
Right.
No. And he's still thinking clearly. He's not really giving in. He's still in the side interviews is saying, I'm not sure that we're compatible. I'm not sure we're a match. I don't see love in her eyes when we argue.
And this is exactly what he experienced, right?
Right.
You're at a point
Feels
where...
familiar.
Yeah, I've been here before. I've seen somebody look at me like they don't love me.
Mm-hmm.
Amanda looks at him like she doesn't even like him.
Yep.
Not love.
Totally.
She looks disgusted. It's like he's got worms coming out of his nose.
Yeah, and I don't know why she looks at him that way, because he's a nice guy. I think he's a good person.
You meet his parents. They seem like good people.
Yeah, I mean, his dad cried at his son having been married to somebody who didn't love him.
Yep. And she's all, do you think we match? And he's... brutally honest in front of everybody. You said yesterday
that we weren't
a match. How are we a match today?
Mm-hmm.
You know why I don't think we're a match? Because you said we weren't yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday.
When you compared me to your ex-husband.
Roll that beautiful bean footage.
Mm-hmm.
This is what you need, right? This is where I needed that clip. Don't save it for Misha. Let's play what Amanda said.
Yep. She's just playing games, and it's really wrong.
It is. She gets to choose. I understand that, but you can't.
She's
play
being
wishy-washy.
With somebody like that. It's like, I think she enjoys the chase. I think that when he pulls away, it makes her want him more. Like she only wants what she can't have.
So we know next week that they're going to end up sleeping together, probably at Mom's place.
And then the next day, she's probably going to go, I'm going home.
Yeah, this isn't going to work.
Right. Because that's exactly what she did the last time they slept together.
It's so mean.
It really is.
It is. And as somebody who's had their heart torn out before,
right?
This is horrible.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Because I know...
I don't think she's even considering
as vulnerable as I would have been at those times. Nobody ever came back to me and said, you know what? I take back that. We're not really broken up. But if they would have, I don't know how I would have reacted.
You probably would have looked at them like they had 7 heads.
Well, I probably wouldn't have, because you were vulnerable at that point. Really, like Razvan is here. right? He's a bit, at least older than I would have been at that time. Like, he's a bit hesitant. You know, like, it's like you blow a whistle at your dog and they turn their head. Something's not right here. I hear something. It's confusing. I'm not sure what to do. And Razvan's at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Something doesn't smell right.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this.
I'm not sure who this person is.
Yes. But she's saying the things I want her to say, but I still don't feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
But he ends up diving in head first again.
Mm.
So that is, I think, very unfortunate.
And I think she did it to get him to break down his wall again.
It's horribly, horribly mean.
Messed up.
It's just wrong.
Because we know that's not what she's going to choose.
Mm-hmm.
She's just playing.
Yeah.
She just wants control. She wants to manipulate him.
Mm.
Really messed up.
Yeah. I just don't get it. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Impossible. So. Jasmine and Gino, I guess, are patching things up. Or not. Or they are. Where we left last, I thought last week's was a preview clip for the blow up this week, but I guess it was the blow up.
Mm.
And this is the aftermath. How do you come back from this?
I don't know.
Where are you from here?
Yeah, if I were him, I'd have a problem even with her saying that she slept with the ex. So I wouldn't be letting her off the hook just because she was mad and she says now that it wasn't true. I couldn't believe he even asked her that.
There are things that you can say that end things.
Yes.
This is it. You believe that she cheated. And this is now we're going on.
Well,
her words are.
I'm saying I'm not ruling it out.
Okay.
Because it would not surprise me, would it you, if she was keeping the ex at arm's length as a backup. She is a person who I believe cannot tolerate being alone. I think she's not okay by herself. She's needy. She needs attention from someone. And to feel like she's somebody's whole world. And
well,
so
that's obvious.
If Gino were to leave her, she would need to immediately have someone ready.
There's not a week going by.
No.
That she's not with somebody. So you think while Gino's out, she's been doing this or whatever on the side?
If she isn't, she's at the very least stringing this guy along.
Dane.
Right.
Or Dan, as she calls him. Dane, as the rest of the world knows this guy. She should get his name right if she's boffing him, right? At least.
Even if she's not, I bet she maybe has some sexy talk to string him along. You know what I mean? Remember how good it was? You know what I mean?
Right. Maybe.
To keep him on the hook.
Right. Maybe instead of peeing on him in a hot tub.
Oh, that's so disgusting. I really worked on forgetting that. Thanks.
Oh, I'm sorry. Forgive me. I apologize. Maybe she's just farting on him or something. I don't know. There's nothing good about that. I apologize for all of
Thanks.
that. But this cheating statement, so is it to injure or is it the truth?
Well, it is that too. Either way. I mean, she went a step further to say, I was effing him a month ago and he was better. I mean, she's constantly telling him he's not doing it right whenever she's mad at him.
Well, you got to get a rhythm. Whatever it's been, 2 or 3 times, sometimes it takes a quarter century to get things right. So I think 6 or 7 times is not probably enough to get your rhythm. You need a little more
practice.
You got to get in sync a little better than that, I think. I think the whole thing is just, when we leave, it's like, it's over. Forget about me. It's the end. But we know it's not, right? I mean, it's not the end. And that's what I don't get. I don't understand.
Yeah, it's weird. Although the preview looks like they are saying goodbye.
Yeah, but...
And he is leaving.
Well, he's got to go back. Her reaction is nothing, right? It's not like... It's nothing...
I mean, it's his typical behavior from her.
It's not like Sheila's.
This is nothing that he hadn't seen before from her.
How can you have... I mean, I guess people are in these type of relationships where there's this kind of drama.
I guess.
Right? This is real. For us, our drama is... What I do is because our dog is old. My biggest drama is when I get up, I don't enter a room without turning a light on first.
Yeah, because you might
I'm
step
worried
in a puddle or something.
about stepping in something.
Yeah.
And at this point, at that stage of my morning, I already have the socks on that I intend to wear for that day.
Yeah. We actually have 2 old dogs. They're only a year apart. And they're having opposite issues. One's pooping and one's peeing because she's on medication. So,
So I am
what can
just,
you do?
it's literally like walking a minefield.
We're so thankful, though, that this house has 98%
Hardwood floors. But that's the drama. I would say that's the drama in my life, as long as I don't end up in large crowds of people.
Yes.
With oversized shopping carts and pushy vendors trying to sell people 5-gallon water bottles.
I just want to say that I called the whole scene to our son before you ever came in the door, and it went exactly how I told him it knew it went.
This will be our, like I said, our personal podcast.
So funny.
Let's just say I have some things.
I know you so well.
Right, I have some things, and you have shielded me for the same quarter century.
And this is what I hope that you now realize. I
do realize
how much I save you from this stuff.
I get it. But I want to at least feel like I'm helpful. So if you have something you want to do or need to do, then I want to be able to help you. So
and
I made it. And right?
I was shopping for almost an equal amount of time that you were. We were just hitting 2 different places at the same time. Yeah. There's no way I could have done both.
So that's the drama we have, right?
Right.
That's not this kind of drama. Could you imagine, I don't know, going to sleep at night with this kind of Gino and Jasmine stuff hanging over your head?
No.
Like, you have no question about who your life partner is. I couldn't imagine.
Or who they last slept with.
53, or am I going to get scabies from it? Right, these are things we don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
And so I can't imagine, with all of my insanity, all the craziness inside of me, that if I had to deal with that, I don't know what I would do.
Go Lulu.
I am just a little bit younger than Gino.
Yeah.
Without having that stability in my life, I mean, I just assume everybody's like me. And that's not true,
They're
right?
Not.
I don't like
at all.
I don't like that tone of yours. But I understand it, right? I get it. And so you've shielded me from you have shielded me from the things I need shielded from.
Yes, I do.
So that's fine. What Gino needs is shielded from Jasmine. Because this is a nightmare. It's never going to be good for him.
And sadly, our kids are similar to you in many ways.
Sadly is a poor choice of words.
And so I also have shielded them until they've acquired the tools to cope on their own.
So
from the same experience.
Are you saying I could acquire these said tools?
You could, but I don't think you will at this point. It's a little late for you.
Huh? I got to go first then.
Yeah, you would have had to have taken care of this in your 20s, I think.
Oh.
The early end.
Well, that's not happening. I spent too much time alone.
Exactly.
So, but I don't get, Gino, the thought of being this far along. You said it all along that the two of them are the only people for each other.
Yes. There's nobody else that's going to tolerate them.
And her need to be number one in his life.
At all times.
In
all circumstances,
we talked
whether
about
she's right or wrong.
We talked about it after the counselor did, and there was an advice that I think even Gino said it. I have to see that this Jasmine's coming. Like, you can see in me when I'm about to have an episode.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
when we're out in public.
Yes, and I could tell by your tone on the phone today that it was going left.
I call. This is what I do.
Twice,
I call you.
While I'm in the store myself.
So it's bad things are happening.
And it was in a row. And I'm like, and you were breaking up and I could barely understand you. I knew it was just going to frustrate you even more that I couldn't understand what you were saying. And I was just trying to make it better and get off the phone. But I knew it was going left.
I was talking
this is not good.
It was like a little group. The topic came up and it was be like, can you bail? Like, you know what? I could bail, right? I would like to bail in that situation.
Yeah.
But at no point, that doesn't help you if I bail.
Well, I would have understood if you did, though. Because I know how overwhelming it is for you.
But I
would never ask you to do it in the first place. That's what I didn't understand is why you would volunteer for something that you hate so much.
Because I love you and I want to help you and I want to prove that I can do it.
Okay.
Here's what I want to say. Let's do Sam's Club. Let's on a Tuesday or a Thursday or a Wednesday.
And not a holiday weekend.
Not on a holiday weekend. Right? Well, and so you see these things and you can diffuse it. Gino has not learned yet.
Yeah.
Because Jasmine's always going to be like this.
Yes.
Gino is always going to have to diffuse Jasmine's events.
Yes, this is like the counselor was saying. When you see this and you know this behavior's coming, you have to find a way to diffuse it, to calm the tone in some way, to some degree, and not to feed into it because it just explodes and she loses it.
And I think it will always be like that.
Yes, I think so.
It's never going to be different. Gino's ability to learn that skill will impact the success of their relationship.
Yeah, because at this age, she's not going to change.
She's only 35, but you're pretty set.
Yes,
then.
You're pretty set.
So let's learn how to live with
Maneuver.
Because we're not always going to change. Right? It's just who she is.
Right. And he either accepts her as she is or not.
We all... Like those of us who have issues, right? We need the you in our lives to fix those things. You know, I support you and I have provided you with support in my own way.
Yes.
But
I know what you're not capable of.
But I need help.
Yes.
And you've learned that. If you couldn't help, it would probably be a very tragic relationship that we would have.
Yes.
And it's the same place. Then Gino has to find a way to learn this.
Yeah.
What you have learned about me.
Yeah.
It happens. And so you learn this and you could say, well, Jasmine has to change, but she may not.
You can find a way to maneuver things.
Yeah, I mean, Jasmine may not be able to change. I mean, we talk about like Mary and Brandon.
Yes.
Mary, despite the internet, Mary has got some things that she hasn't worked out.
Right.
And if Brandon and Mary are going to be a thing, and Brandon has his own things.
Yes.
So when two people with things come together, I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Our things that we have somehow meshed together to where I can support you, you can support me, and we found a way to not drop each other in a wood chipper or throw each other in the deep end of the pool.
Right.
So, hey, let's go snorkeling in the pool. There's stuff down there at the bottom. You know, but we've managed, and these two haven't.
No.
And
they seem to lose it at the same time, and then it just dominoes and gets so much worse. Yeah, it's not good.
It's trouble for them. Yeah. They gotta figure this out if they're going to be successful. Yeah, they just have to. And I mean, crazy aside, you can just dismiss it as crazy.
But honestly, I don't see how it will work with her if they get married and she's in America, because you remember when they were in separate countries and talking on the phone, he couldn't even say, hi, can I have my pickup order to the chick behind the counter because it was a woman. And why are you talking to her? You don't need to have conversation. He said, thank you, have a nice day. And she had a cow.
We haven't seen a lot of that lately.
Right. But because the scenes we've seen are them together, not them apart.
You're right.
But can you imagine?
No.
If he works with somebody or they're in a restaurant and they have a waitress, I mean, it's not going to go well.
No, there is no waitress that has any interest in Gino whatsoever.
Right. But she doesn't get that for some reason. She finds him attractive, and I'm not sure why, but okay.
I get it.
To each his own.
Right. It's his dress hat.
Everybody's got their thing.
Got his dress hat on. The Statler-Dempsey thing, we at the end, we get to this kid issue, and that's real.
Yeah, and I can't believe they hadn't had this conversation before she ever came to the country.
Where we were at 7 months is where they had talked before all of this.
Yeah.
We talked about how superficial we thought maybe their conversations were. And
right.
My thought is this. Statler's always been full on.
Mm-hmm.
And Dempsey hasn't been. So these things never came up because they never came up.
Mm-hmm.
Because Dempsey wasn't full on in the relationship. It was still...
Right, she didn't see the relationship as being at the stage that Statler saw it being at.
Right.
So the serious conversations weren't happening. But if Statler saw it at that stage, why didn't Statler have that conversation? Why didn't they make sure they had the same life goals and relationship goals before she traveled to another country to meet her? That seems like...
It does.
Putting the cart before the horse.
And I get that Statler's, her line of thinking maybe isn't all there. You said yourself, you see Statler in like multiple people in this family.
Yes, I do. I see her hyperness, her, just the racing thoughts and all that. Like, that looks familiar to me. For sure.
So, but I think that aside, it still comes down to this.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to imagine because everybody's a little different. But you think it would have come up in some kind of conversation.
And also, now that I think about it, her quickness to be so comfortable to think that this is it. Don't you see that in our children too? We have 2 adult children who have dated one person and years. So, we knock Statler for getting attached so quickly, but we see the same behavior.
But our kids weren't at, let's get married quickly.
No. I think that would have been the times are a little different.
And maybe me.
Right.
Or you. I don't know who that was. But it still wasn't like that. You know what I mean? Or maybe it was. I don't know.
Well, she's not talking about getting married. She's talking about moving in.
Yeah. I know you were all upset about the roundabout. You got all animated when it came to the discussion of roundabouts.
Gosh, the roundabout. I swear. There are so many roundabouts in England, and they drive so fast through them and on the wrong side of the road. It makes me a nervous wreck.
I would just drive into somebody.
That's what I'm saying. And they fly past each other, and it's like, oh my God, I'm going to die every time you go through one. And they do it like it's nothing.
You as a passenger.
Yes.
In England.
Yes. In the back seat because I was 11.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to die.
I'm going to die.
No, there's somebody coming.
Yes. It's terrible. They're so fast. And they just fly through them like it's, just a road with a big curve in it.
I was in Frankfurt. In Frankfurt, it's like in the city at this point in the early 90s, there were no left turns.
Wow.
Like left turns were outlawed in Frankfurt. If you could think about how that's even possible, you couldn't make a left turn. So
on my last trip, my uncle had passed away shortly before we went, and my grandfather passed away just as we were headed over there, and then my grandmother passed away while we were there. And so we're back and forth to the cemetery quite a bit during that summer there. And on one of the trips, I saw an accident that scarred me for life because they have these vehicles that have like one wheel in the front. They're teeny tiny. They're like the size of a person. And you look at that and you go, oh my gosh, if they crashed in one of those at any kind of speed with a normal vehicle, they're dead. Well, that's what happened.
Oh,
and it was right outside the cemetery. And I've never forgotten it. Because how do you survive in a vehicle like that? Driving 70 miles an hour in a roundabout.
Right.
It gives
You can't even hold it
nightmares.
together.
Right.
Centrifugal forces don't even allow that.
There's a roundabout in Fort Worth, a couple of them, and it makes me all kinds of anxious every time I pull up to it for that reason.
I
They're
hit one
just
last
scary
week.
to
It
me.
was in an odd place. And
Yeah.
they got a little nervous.
Ugh.
But everybody was turning off. So
It seems like people know what they're doing. I just always
you're the
feel
only one that
anxious.
doesn't. I'm the one that doesn't.
This is foreign to me.
I felt, I had a flashback. It's rare. We've been together so long. It's rare that we have flashbacks. And so
Yeah.
I'm going to hit you with one now.
Okay.
That and you're probably going to clear it up for me because how I remember it may not be how it happened.
Okay.
So Statler and Dempsey met some friends and they talked about some pressure and all of that.
Yeah.
And Statler handled it horribly. Right.
Yes.
She just did. She just did.
Terrible.
Whatever. It's awkward. Didn't know what to do. You're trying to be funny.
But she
I get it.
was like extreme, like giving the worst vibe about herself possible.
I understand.
What would make you even bring
I don't know.
that up?
This is what I remember. I remember us meeting somebody, a friend of yours, short, little, tiny person, blonde hair.
Oh, yeah, Audra.
Okay, Audra. Now, I seem to remember going behind the townhouse to have dinner with them and a guy coming, and I thought it was like a guy that she was trying to set you up with.
What?
Is this a thing I remember? This may have been...
No.
This would have... I don't know if it would have been after I came back or before I'd left, but they came over to the house and we went then to the half-price steak place in the back.
I don't remember.
And there was a
meeting
single
friends
guy
there.
and I seem to remember the vibe of he's single and like she brought him.
I don't remember this at all.
She brought him, and I think the thought was she was trying to hook you up with him, but I was there.
That doesn't make any sense. After we got married?
No. This would definitely have been not then, not after we got married. I don't remember
It was such a short time that you were here before we got married. We were planning the wedding right away.
It's entirely possible that it was in the window before
your visit?
Yes.
Your initial visit?
Yes.
When we first met?
Yes. And that's what I remember. I remember
that was only a week.
Distinctly an awkward meal where I was there and felt so uncomfortable. Because why would she bring a single guy, friend of hers, in the mid-20s, right, to come to this place to be with us?
I don't remember this at all.
So it could be something it's in a flashback.
Made up in a dream?
I don't like this from you. Makes me seem guilty.
I wasn't.
You remember the meal?
No.
You don't remember going behind the house to... What was that place called? Do you remember?
Oh, that bar where we had the
scoreboard?
The scoreboard, yeah.
How about that? The scoreboard in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't remember that.
No. I don't ever remember eating with anyone.
With Audra there.
No.
I do. This makes it something.
No, because...
I'm glad you don't remember it.
No,
and you're
Audra came over
He's a pretty handsome fella.
When I had the miscarriage.
Wasn't her husband. It was another guy.
At the other house.
It was another guy.
No, I don't remember this at all.
So I think she was trying to hook you up with this dude.
No, she wouldn't have even known. It wasn't her then.
Because we weren't a thing. So.
Are you talking about the other receptionist that was young?
No.
The Navy SEAL husband?
Nope.
Okay, well, that's the only people I hung out with other than
you didn't have too many people
Bonnie
like
and Ray.
her. So I seem to remember distinctly how awkward that meal was.
Yeah, I don't remember that at all. I mean, I had a very tight group of friends.
I sat.
There weren't a lot.
And was quiet and humble and just minded my own business because I didn't want to upset the apple cart.
That seems very odd.
Yeah, we met. They came in. We all walked off the back and went over there. And it wasn't her husband. It wasn't her date.
Why would I have even been meeting anybody in the couple days that you were there?
She brought this person over.
You didn't even stay at my house till after we'd been to North Carolina.
This is how I remember.
It was just a weekend, and then you left.
It's entirely possible that I remember things differently. My mother seems to believe that I remembered my entire childhood differently than it actually happened.
I think you had a dream or something.
This is entirely possible.
Okay.
So I get where Statler's coming from. It's an awkward thing. How do you handle it? She doesn't know. It would be, Cleo has a similar thing. How do you handle these situations in public when you're uncomfortable? Mm-hmm. And for us, it seems like Statler just handled this wrong. Wouldn't you just be
quiet if you were uncomfortable?
That's how I handled it.
Offer less information.
Despite you not remembering this meal, it happened.
Okay, whatever.
And I was quiet.
I don't know what friend it would have been.
It was Audra.
No.
I'm telling you, it was.
No.
Is she still with us?
Yeah.
Do you still talk to her?
No, not since we moved.
You should find out. Let's find out.
Let's find
out if this is a real thing.
I ran into her in Trader Joe's in Virginia Beach with her autistic son.
Yep.
The last time I saw her.
This is exactly the same person. So let's find out if this happened. I know it's being awkward to ask of somebody.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I know I haven't talked to you in umpteen years.
Remember that dude?
Remember?
You'd bring in a dude over back in 1994. You remember that? What was his name? So I get it. It's awkward and how you handle things. And so I think she probably didn't handle it how we would have wanted. And she seemed to regret it.
Yeah, I mean,
after it
obviously,
happened.
She stuck her foot in her mouth.
Didn't seem like she was trying to be funny.
It didn't stop her, though. She just kept spewing
here's
stuff
what
out.
I like.
I love that she called it word vomit.
I love that Statler's full on, right? I think she'd be great to have as a friend. You'd have a good time with her.
I'm sure.
It would be fun. You'd never know what would happen.
Yeah, anything could happen.
Yeah.
It could be embarrassing.
Right. It was all about sex parties and sex clubs. And it's the only thing I do.
Do it anywhere, anytime, as much as you can, is what she said. I was like, wow. Okay,
This castle they were in was cool, though.
Yeah, that was neat.
The fireplace was
massive.
Big enough. Yeah, you could put a body in there.
You could birth a child in there.
You could burn a body in there, couldn't you? Silence. Seeing how well I'm doing right now.
I don't know. You're making up stories.
I am not making up stories.
Saying weird things.
I'm not.
I'm just trying to figure out what's
telling
going on with you.
That's what happened.
You feeling okay?
Not weird things.
You take your medication.
You're gaslighting me, and I have the only medication I have is for my cholesterol. Because I'm old.
Have you been taking it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I have been taking my medicine most of the time.
Most of the time. This explains a lot.
This castle was cool, though. And you think about a fireplace like that, and they wouldn't have enough wood for us.
Yeah.
To man this fireplace.
Oh, man, I go through some wood.
I need some more wood.
We have a big fireplace. Yeah. It's oversized. It's a custom size, and it chews through wood like nobody's business. I order 2 cords at a time. We live in Texas.
It's a reminder you need to get some wood.
I do need to get wood.
It's summer, but it's happening.
Yeah, it's that time of year.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So let's make a note of that in your
it's on my list this week.
Amazon supported device. Do that. The tub, though, you were happy with the fireplace, happy with the tub. If you're going to have a big tub like this, I put you in a tub bigger than this tub. Uh-huh. And your request in this tub, as I was putting it in, was not to have the faucet at the head or the foot.
Yes. And you looked at me like I had 2 heads. And I said, just trust me with this. I want it on the side.
And we did it. I did it for you.
And it's beauteous.
So that's good. And this tub was like that. The trouble with this tub is there's no mixer, right? It's what you have in like a European old place. It's hot or cold, right? It is. There's no like valve in there that you adjust. It's on or off. Mm-hmm. And so that's what you get. But it was a nice castle. I would love to go there, right?
Absolutely.
This is our list. If we go to Europe,
yes,
this is where we go.
Yeah,
not necessarily that castle,
but Scotland and Ireland.
Yeah,
would be great to visit.
I think it would be spring or fall, right?
Yes,
is when you'd want to go because winter is really, really, really bad there.
Yeah.
It's really tough. It's really north. Yeah. And it's really cold.
Yeah.
So you don't need it that cold.
Just cold enough for a fireplace.
Cold enough for a fire.
I like to bundle up.
Spring or fall would be good.
Yeah.
Summer is still no good. Lots of bugs.
Yes.
So, I don't know. The kid thing's a big deal.
Yeah.
And
I think it's a deal breaker.
It looks like it's a deal breaker for Dempsey. And so that they haven't talked about it seems a bit odd.
It does.
So I don't know. Here's what you ought to do is go and get a free trial, Apple channel. It's easy. If you're an Apple person, there's a button there. I'm sure it says free trial. Hit the button and that's it. Right. And then you're in. If you're on Patreon, we're just right over there. You subscribe to other stuff. We're here and it's $3.99. If you decide you just want to go ahead and subscribe, I will promise you, I don't know. Maybe there is possibly only one other 90-day show that has more content than we do. It's very difficult to imagine that there are more.
But we also have no commercials.
There are no commercials.
And we don't upsell.
We do, and that is the key. There is no upselling. One price.
Just get it all.
$3.99, you get it all. We don't trick you and then get you on board and then make you buy more stuff to get other content. This is it. You just get two old people chasing kids off their yard. Get off my lawn, right? Complaining about blood pressure medication and having a nervous breakdown inside of Sam's.
Yeah.
But we keep all that. Look, we're all a la carte. Come in, check us out. If you like what you see, stick around. If not, then that's it. And our diva will not be happy. So what we do want is have a good week. We have Inside Scoop. We have Reality Roundup. Plathville starting this week. Sister Wives is full on board. Love During Lockup. What else we got? 90 Day UK. 90 Day the Other Way. There's a lot of stuff happening now. We cover all of that and more. So, and we even touch on, at some point during some show, we at least discuss The Last Resort and at least one couple with whatever's going on now.
Yeah.
So, all of that
has been surprisingly interesting.
Yeah, I am surprised. Riveting in some way, weird way. Yeah. And not in an Ed and Angela way. But, so, we also have, if you go in our Patreon, they've got a nice thing now called Collection. And so I can put collections together. And so I've done that. I've packaged all of our Inside Scoops in one collection. And it's been just kind of a nice feature.
Yeah, we've had people ask many times over the years where they could find our story of how we got together, because it's kind of fun. And we told that story in detail on our 25th anniversary weekend trip, the only trip we've taken since we've been in Texas in 6 years. And so you made that a collection first off. So
our story is what that is in the collection. So subscribe, join us, check us out. Have a good week. See you very soon.
For listening.
You can listen to additional episodes
by subscribing to our Coupled with Chaos channel on Apple,
by subscribing to our Patreon,
or by subscribing to our Supercast
for $3.99 a month,
where you can hear us talk about reality shows,
real life, and more on our podcasts,
covering shows airing on TLC, A&E, Bravo, and the WE Network.
Just follow the instructions in the show notes.
Tell your friends about this podcast.
And rate and review us on your favorite podcast player.
Follow us at Coupled with Chaos on all the socials.
Or contact us directly by email at coupledwithchaos@gmail.com.